This is what we call a quickie. Drop your ear in my hand. Whew. Watch this one, guys. Don't blink. Go ah.
Oh! I put that in my elbow, bro.
You know?
Wow, man, you spoke a lot about your mom and the experience of being a chiropractor in your family. Like,
Yeah.
So, like, who's wifey? Like, and how did you guys meet?
Okay, we met through chiropractic. You know, thank God she had some symptoms. Thank God for symptoms, man. Symptoms are great calls to action.
Yeah.
I met my wife through chiropractic. Now, you know, she gets adjusted every week since. Same type of thing. My wife is Cuban. My wife and, you know, Cubans, generally speaking, this is stereotype, but, you know, all my Cubans out there and my Latin people, they're going to relate, is Cubans, you know, they grow up eating a lot of different foods.
Yeah.
And a lot of them have allergies, and a lot of them have, you know, different health challenges that come with their diet.
Yeah.
And different things that come with that. So, you know, they're quick to take pills like Jewish people. I'm Jewish.
Yeah.
So I always say, like, Jews, in my opinion, are some of the sickest people, you know. And the reason they are is because they're always taking medicine. You know, they got bad digestive systems. You know, they're eating a lot of kosher food, even though it might be good. Supposedly, when I read the label of kosher food, it's toxic. You could bury that stuff and 20 years later, dig it out and eat it, and it's still going to be good. You know, which, like, of course you got a digestive problem. You know, your food's not supposed to last that long. So I look at, like, their dietary habits, and I look at, like, you know, Jews are classic stereotypes of, like, the doctor told me to take this is what I take, you know, I don't question. It's like, that's what they went to school for. You want to ask me about financial advice, I'll give it to you. You know, he tells me I take this, I take it. But the reality is, you know, drugs don't fix lifestyle problems. You know, so if it's a lifestyle problem, then a lifestyle answer is the answer. Drugs might buy you a week, and there's a time and place for them. I'm not forbidding them or throwing them under the bus. Right. I just don't think we should live on them, you know. So either way, my wife, being Cuban, has that same similarity to Jews. It's like certain foods, certain things. She took a lot of medications as a kid. She had a lot of topical allergies. She had a lot of digestive issues. That's why I was using that story with Jewish people. So long story short, when I met her, even though she had neck and back pain, as her neck and back got better, what did that mean? It means her inflammation was less. And because pain is inflammation and the inflammation was less, the next thing that started to happen is her stomach started to feel better. Her menstrual cycle actually started to normalize a little bit. And then before you know it, she wanted to know, yo, now that I'm feeling so good, what food should I be eating? You know, so then we started to clean up that diet a little bit. Wow. So that's a whole nother conversation is a lot of times people will watch me or watch someone that they love that's not even a chiropractor, just someone that's just crushing it in the nutrition game, right? Or an athlete, you know, or you who's on top of a lot of things, what you eat, how you move. You know, and we're like, dude, I got to do all of that. But the reality is sometimes it's just step by step. It's step by step. It's step by step. And that gets back to even what I was initially saying or just preaching is that it's sometimes not adding 20 different things. You know, it's not trying to get the best diet right now and the best exercise program and the best chiropractic care. It's like, yo, pick one, start to get some change. Once you see that momentum rolling, great, let's go to the next. What thing can I add on next, you know? And that's what happened to her. So we started with chiropractic because she had neck and back pain, and then it spilled over in her stomach, normalized her menses a little bit, started to see great changes there. She started to clean up her diet. Her skin started to, like, get less itchy because she was having a lot of just skin issues. Again, think about it. I'm not saying it's a Cuban thing, but I'm just saying, you know what? Her parents gave her a lot of different, you know, allergy medications. She used to get allergy shots all the time. She used to take stomach pills all the time because they were eating whatever all the time, you know? And it's like, we don't really think about those things. And then you turn to a certain point in your life and it all starts piling up. For some people, it's 50. For others, it's 25 when they get their first job and their first stress. Sometimes it's 30 when you pay your first mortgage bill. But it's coming. It just isn't an age thing. It's a stress thing, you know? And when it comes, you realize you start to look at your history and it all starts to pour in, you know? And that's how we met. So that's how I met. And then obviously my son Lincoln is a rock star. He's 7, just turned 7. He's fresh 7. And now he's a chiro kid.
He's a big boy.
Yeah.
he's a big boy.
He's a renaissance man, you know? But we homeschool my son. That's the type of person I am, just so you guys know. We're a homeschooling family. Super granola. This is the only time you'll catch me wearing shoes. I tore up my feet this weekend, which is the only reason I'm wearing shoes.
I'm surprised you wearing shoes right now.
You know, I fill my son's love tank up through lots of different ways. He gets adjusted on a regular basis as well. He eats good. He's totally aware of genetically modified food. He also has freedom to eat whatever he wants. So if he wants to have something, I say, Lincoln, yeah, go and have it. Why I do that? My mom was one of the best nutritionists on the planet. And my mom used to let me have Papa John's if I wanted it and Taco Bell and all fast food while I watched Michael Jordan at night play basketball. And even though she could have said, hey, Zeb, don't eat this and don't do that, she raised me with awareness, but not with handcuffs. And then when I hit a point, I realized I didn't want it anymore either, and I already had the education why. So I always kind of knowing that from that parental advice and being in my mom's element, all the time, I was like, you know what, I'm going to do the same for my son. I always want him to be aware, and I'm always going to kind of control hey, Lincoln, like for example, you guys should know this as well. So sugar weakens our immune system, right? So if I notice that my son is in a lot of different environments and I hear a cough or a cold coming on, or he feels a little warm, I'm not going to let him have a cookie, a cupcake, and apple juice from concentrate. So he knows I'm going to be like, hey, Lincoln, let's make sure our food is really good today. That way tomorrow you bounce back and you're super strong, And the same goes for you. You want to always minimize your sugar. Even check this out. I was reading this study where they said they gave sugar to a lot of people. And then they tested some immune markers, and they found that it immediately tanked their immune system for I forgot how many hours, but it was just as a way of saying it has such a dramatic Amazon Prime effect on your immune system, So it's something simple. Does it mean you never have sugar? No, of course. Should you always minimize it? Yes, and at minimum, just be aware of it.
Right.
So in terms of raising my son, lifestyle, it's that same thing. It's I'm always pouring into him, teaching him. I always kind of let him know, hey, this is that. But if you want to share some sour jelly beans with me, some non-GMO sour jelly beans that are flavored by beets, instead of red number 40, I'm down. But then I always kind of modulate it. That way I know as he grows into a man, he has all that education already. It's not me handcuffing him. It's just I want him to always have that edge, but not the edge over someone else, just the edge over himself. Because to me, nothing's more important than knowing if a kid, for example, feels off, right? And I'm adjusting a kid now. My goal isn't yeah, he has neck pain. My goal is let's put him in tune with his body. Right. So if he's ever not feeling himself, he knows what he needs is the adjustment. He knows the answer is on the inside. Right. It's not in a NyQuil. It's not in a pharmaceutical pill. You know what I mean? We'll use those for emergency cases. Right. We first are going to try some other methods to make him feel better and to tap back into his personal power or his inner power.
The holistic way.
Yeah, the holistic way, absolutely. Yeah. I just tend to not always use that word because it's so watered down nowadays. Right. Like everything, as if it's not medicine, it's holistic, So sometimes I'm a little guarded with using that word. But yeah, definitely the holistic way, So
what would you say? What would you say? Who's your biggest inspiration? Who's your hero?
Oh man. All right, so how about I just go recently people? Well, so the first person that pops in my head is Tony Robbins. So I'm going to go out of order here, but I'm just going to go on people that I know have really, really made an impact in my life. I get my biggest kicks, though, is not from a Tony Robbins or a guy I don't know. I get my biggest kicks from guys that I take care of that are killing it or crushing it or have an amazing backstory that I actually take care of that you'll never hear on a podcast or you never see on a video or whatever, that I know are really killing it and they got a killer work-life balance. And they're not just this facade of taking a picture in a car, you know what I mean? And then they're a crap dad. So I get a lot of my inspiration actually in my daily grind of just working with people. So I'm blessed in that regard because I don't really feel a need to always hit books so much. Yeah. I've also had some situations where I've adjusted and take care of some people that are big names. And some of them I loved and others I was like, damn, can I even trust a book anymore? Wow. I loved that book until I adjusted them. And then I'm like, I don't know.
How was that experience?
So that kind of jaded me a little bit because then I'm like, man, I really there was this one situation where I loved what this guy was preaching and talking about, and I had the opportunity to serve him. And then I realized when I served him, not only I'm not taking a judgment of that one interaction, because I'm not maybe always my best in one interaction, but as I was already hearing that and I was around certain things, I realized, damn, you know what? I think it is what it is, So at that point, I tossed that book out, and that was one of my go-tos. Yeah, because I don't care. You can't. It doesn't matter what you say. If you're not who you are, then I don't give a crap, you know? So that's just, obviously, I know you hear that and you go, yeah, that's all of us. But I just, that's one story that I had where I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to read as many books anymore or dive into that because I don't know if they're real. So that drove me into really cherish the interactions I'm having with moms and dads and people that are really crushing it. You're just not seeing it, but they're killing the game. They're super moms, super dads, running all around town, running a business or just showing up big and got crazy good balance, Very selfless. We were just talking before the podcast how dude, you were do you have time for yourself?
Yeah.
I don't have much time for myself, but you know what? Like, I'm pouring into my son right now, you know, so I don't care. I don't care if I miss 3 weeks of workouts. I like, in one sense, it me cares, but in the other sense, it's like, dude, I'm fulfilled in another way right now. I'll catch my bicep later. You know, like, I want it, don't get me wrong. And if it happens, and I'm always chasing it, it never means I'm lazy.
Right.
I'm always chasing my workout. But it's like, if I'm not gonna leave my son when I'm not working. If he wants me there, then I'm there. I'm not gonna be like, yo, I'm gonna drop you off and come back. Like, there's no way. I used to try to do that when I'd go to work out every once in a while. Like, if he was napping, when my son would wake up and my wife would call me and be like, he's looking for you, I couldn't even work out anymore. I'm like, dang, I gotta go, you know? You know, people like that, people like me, you know, that are like selfless. I need to see that. If you're gonna inspire me, then I need to be inspired by action, not lip service, you know? But Tony Robbins, hands down, I gotta say, I've been listening to him since I was 16, 17 years old. His stories, his teachings, his books, his everything, man. That guy to me is just like, he's on my bucket list of people to adjust, you know, like Tony. You know, what's up? Holla at your boy. All right. No, I know he's a big fan. I know he's got a great chiropractor, but I still want to adjust you. But either way, he was a big inspiration to me. Who else is a big inspiration to me? Are we talking books or are we talking anybody?
Anybody.
Oh, man. Who else is a big inspiration to me? All right, one of the most recent ones, this isn't a new book, but I'm going to tell you something that changed the game for me chiropractically is Peter Thiel, the creator of PayPal, wrote a book called 0 to 1. And that book really influenced me. And I'm going to tell you why. Is in all professions, this is just as in mine, in all professions, especially with social, everyone's just ripping each other's stuff. Everyone's just carbon copying. They're either doing it with more money, less money, a little more creativity, a different song, but we're not having what Peter Thiel calls these 0 to 1 experiences, where it's okay to steal like an artist. You could read like Mark Ecko's book, right? Mark Ecko, the clothing line Ecko, sick book, by the way. That was an inspirational book. Now that I'm getting going, I'll think of some others. But Ecko had a badass book about his come-up story, his brand. Anybody who wants to read like a straight grit book, Mark Ecko's got a great book. It's old school, it's not new, but you know, these are time-tested stories. So he talks about, you know, it's okay to steal like an artist. You know, but it's important to take that for inspiration, but just not replicate it. Do something new with it. You know what I mean? Create something new. Bring that to the world. So I'm reading 0 to 1, and I'm always reading with my chiropractic lenses on, and I'm realizing, I'm like, you know what? I'm too deep. You know, just watching my profession, learning from other people as a student. I need to step out. I need to disassociate. I need to, if I'm going to be me and do me, people used to tell me, Zev, if you want to be a great chiropractor, you got to do things like scale. You got to open up multiple offices. You got to do this. You got to do that. I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying it's wrong. But one of the things that I remember, and I've talked to big names, they're like, you cannot do it with your personality. Now check this out, because what I'm saying about chiropractic, I talk to my guys about this all the time. Anything I teach you in chiropractic will relate in any industry and any business that you go to, because it's a human business. It's a human interaction. It's a relationship business. It's an art. It's a science. It's so many aspects. It's hustle. It's business. It's you got to be sharp. It translates into anything. But my point here is this, is that when it comes to, for example, having a personality practice, I realized that my biggest gift was my personality, right? I mean, like, do I have a good, I hope I have a good.
No, you do.
Right? I think I got a good personality. So why would I get away from that? Especially if that's what fulfills me. So I said, okay, I don't need 10 offices. What I need is, I want to use my personality, and the upside is every night when I drive home, I'm freaking happy. I'm happy. I'm crazy happy. You know, and I think that's important for people to relate. Now, let me go one further, because 0 to 1 really was the first book. Peter Thiel, shout out to you. You're awesome, by the way, and I love PayPal. Was the first person to like write something that when I read it, it kind of checked me. I don't know if it was just the moment I was relaxed. Maybe there's other books on it, but that was the first one that I was really like, you're right, man. I need to redo chiropractic. Not the way I deliver it, like this way, you know, but just how I go about it from start to finish, you know, making sure that everyone can touch it was one important thing to me, you know, doing it in an environment that was typically unorthodox, you know, having a business model that's unorthodox, having care that's unorthodox, not because I want to be unique and different, but because it's me.
It's you.
So I want to drive everything through me. So I drive home happy, but also my people are happy. Not only my team, hopefully they're happy, but my people too, because that's my gift. You know, so why would I not share my gift? Why would I share my gift with only, you know, 5 people? Let me share it with the world, you know, and even be better at home, you know? So now one other thing. Gary V. Gary Vee's first book blew me away. Didn't even know who he was because I wasn't really on social or YouTube or any of that. But dude, that guy, hands down to this day,
He's a monster.
is when I talk to someone in their 20s, I think any age can benefit from this guy. Shout out to you. We've never met. You're on my bucket list to adjust also. And I'm not just saying his name to say that, but while I'm saying it, I might as well. The reason I say that is because Gary Vee has this thing, right? This is where he inspired me. Because every time, you know, like I read a book, I think of chiropractic. When you read something, are you thinking of like real estate, investment, like something in your industry?
Yeah.
Do you do that?
I do.
Okay, I do that with chiropractic. So every time I listen to Gary Vee's got this thing where he's like, so what? I say the same thing over and over again. It's the right thing. It's like facts. It's like if you just do it, you know, you'll see, you know, because people are like, he says the same shit over and over again.
Right.
Because that's the thing.
True.
He's giving you the thing.
Right.
So I love his consistency, but I love that he came from nothing and he's still killing it and working like a freaking dog. I mean, I haven't seen his stuff lately. Like I said, I'm not on it all the time. But from his first book to every time I catch him, I'm like, dude, I freaking love this guy. Like, dude, he's a beast. He could probably stop long ago.
Yeah, he's a beast.
And he continues to drive the same narrative that he did when he first got started. And that to me just proves it. You know, that it's like what I said in the beginning. It's not 20 different things for your health. It's just a couple and murking the hell out of them. Working them, and then of course being flexible and adaptable, knowing when to change, knowing yourself. You know what I mean? But the core. And that is definitely, I got to give shout out to him. That inspired me. But the ultimate inspiration, I know you're going to ask me a question, is the woman on that wall right there, which is my mom. So I'm not trying to be a cheesy, even though I am a mama's boy. Yeah. But hands down, let me tell you, I'm 39 years old. My mom had 3 kids. I have 2 brothers, right? There's 3 of us total. I look back now, I'll get a little emotional, but I look at my mom, I got goosebumps, and I look at like the hustle that she had and the love and the passion. And first of all, I go, holy shit, I'm exactly her. Yeah. You know, so thank God we spend time around our parents, which is why I homeschool, is because, you know, who better, like if you love something about me, you know, then you love my mom because I was around my mom all the time. And you feel the same way about anyone in my family, hopefully, if they're around them, right? So I feel the same way about my son. Like, I want them around me all the time, you know, because at the end of the day, when I think of like why I treated that mom the way I did, why I got on one knee, why I went the extra mile, why I took care of you when you had nothing, it's because my mom would have done it. So it's not something I wanted to do because it was fancy. It was just imprinted on me from watching her behavior. So when I think of the ultimate inspiration, I got to say, you know what? Screw Tony Robbins, Gary Vee, and Peter Thiel. My mom kicks all their ass. My mom is straight up. She could have been Mensa. You know what Mensa is? Mensa is like the brightest of the brightest. Like last time I checked, it was like invite into IQ. You know, my mom had an IQ off the charts, but my mom was straight gangster in street as well. She was a woman's woman, but all the guys loved to be around her as well. She was just like, she was that person. She was so balanced. And she would work almost 24 hours a day because she loved what she did. But somehow, and that's when I say that, it's like, how can a mom do that and still take care of you? To be honest, I have no freaking idea. But it comes back to that Santa Claus factor, where it's like somehow she was able to do it all.
She got it done.
And I don't know if all those other guys that I was talking about maybe could do that, or maybe they do it or not. But I know someone who did. And when I link back, like that's why I have her on my wall. You see, that was given to me as a gift. Wow. And I had it in my office in my house. And then I realized I wasn't really looking at it. So on her birthday one day, I brought it in because I wanted everyone to know that that's the woman who kicked me into chiropractic, knowing that that was my gift and blessing back into the world. So I wanted people first to see her and know the only reason you're getting adjusted because it's that woman right there. And now I see her every day, and it's like, man, it's awesome that I get to look at her all the time. And when I'm tired, when it's like 4:30 and I've already done so many adjustments and my back is burning a little bit and I'm like, you know, I need some fuel and I need some stuff, I look at her and I'm like, yo, I'm going to dig. Because I know she took a second mortgage out on the house to open up the office and kickstart this process. You know, it's like she just slaved away and never complained. And did it in a way that, like, looking back, I'm like, dude, I never saw my mom stress. Like, every once in a while, you know what I mean? I saw her have a moment, but, like, and she did it with grace, like true freaking grace, bro. And I'm like, damn, because I look back now and I'm like, I have gone through the majority of the stresses that I know my mom has gone through. And then I'm like, every time I go through a new one, I'm like, damn, my mom was so amazing, man. Like, it's mind-blowing to me. So I would say my mom is my biggest inspiration. And I know that's probably an easy one, but I truly, I'm letting you know, I like my mom is freaking awesome. You know?
No, it's not easy.
So she would probably be my number one inspiration. And also because of the way she treated people. You know, my mom treated everybody so great. Like, it's just, God damn, that woman. You know,
and that's awesome. Exactly how you treat people. Because I like, from the outside looking in, like, I come in and getting adjusted, and I see how you treat other people. Like bro, you literally take your time to like talk to everybody.
I know, I pour into everybody.
Like you pour into everybody. Everybody get the same treatment. It don't matter if you're a celebrity or you know, the general pop. Like bro, you give everybody the same exact.
Dude, you know what? And I'm freaking proud of that. Like really, really proud of that.
Bro.
I get these trolls that will be like, oh, you got to have a blue check, or you got to be like Shaq or something. No. And I'm like, dude, that is the farthest thing. Farthest thing from the truth, like the farthest thing. So the fact that you even see that is freaking awesome, because I literally, if I know someone's worth pouring into, like if I know they're receptive, I go above and beyond all the time. There's not one night that I don't drive home that I don't call people.
That's what I'm saying.
Dude, since I graduated school, I don't need to call probably anybody, you know? But every night I think about who I want to reach out to, who I want to pour into, and I pick someone. Sometimes it's one, sometimes it's five. I've pulled up to my house and stayed in my driveway for an extra hour when my son was waiting for me and my food was sitting on the plate just to talk about something. And I'm not trying to be a psychologist, but sometimes I've called a young guy who's like working in a spot, and it's like he wanted to ask me a question about his back or about his body. And then it said, yo, you mind if I ask you something, because you're kind of young, maybe you can relate to something, and then it just goes into somewhere else. And that full circle goes into not just how I treat people, but also like what I was saying of like that high and that like I never want to get away from it, because that's like, dude, when you know you're making an impact, it's like every day to me is like a mission trip, you know, like that fulfillment people get when they go serve another country of people that are underprivileged, you know, and they're like, oh, it was an amazing experience. I feel like I have that every day, and I feel like we need a freaking whole lot more of it too, you know, so it's not like work is done, but it's just like, you know, that's the vibe, you know. And I like it, you know, and to be honest, I've had a lot of people that are names. And in the beginning, I'm like, well, look, I'll give you two options. You want to come in before hours? You want to come in during hours? Or you want to come in after hours? Especially when I first meet you. Because a lot of times when I meet people, they don't know what to expect. They don't know my skill set. They don't know if I'm real or fake. They don't know if I'm just trying to do it for the lens. They don't know what the agenda is. They don't even know if they're walking into just a hole in the wall with a bench. You know, they have no idea, you know? So they don't know what to expect. So I get that high of like, yo, I can't wait to show up big for them. Like I straight up, in my mind, this is my headspace. I'm like, I'm going to freaking earn it with them. I'm going to earn it with them. I get that high, like, man, I can't wait to show up big for this person. Like I don't care what their experience is in chiropractic, good or bad. I don't care what they think. When they step into my office and they leave, I'm going to leave them better than I found them, and they are going to think completely different, not only of chiropractic, but they're going to know that I had nothing to do with that lens. I've adjusted so many people and turned that lens off and be like, dude, it's not even about this on this visit. I want to earn it with you, and I just want you to understand the value that I'm trying to bring across, because I want you to know that you can reach out to me anytime, and that to me is the payout right there, knowing that if shit hits the fan or you're not in the best spot, you know that, hey, I'm going to call him and at least get his opinion, because it's freaking genuine. There's nothing attached to it, not a check, nothing. You know what I mean? So that's my headspace.
That's real.
So I get that high on like, you know, first that. But then once I get to know them, getting back to like seeing how I'll treat a name and just general pop is because then what I found out, it's funny because what happens is I don't want them getting caught in the crosshairs, because I see a lot of people. So I don't want someone being attacked or feeling like, oh, it ruined the vibe in the first day relationship, like our first date, you know? But what I find out is actually they end up loving it. And a lot of them are like, yo, I actually love seeing the people, seeing a dog, seeing a baby, seeing the stuff. So it's funny because at first I'm like, oh, I'll bend over backwards for you for sure. I'll try to accommodate you however I can, especially since it's our first date. But then it ends up spilling back into my initial core passion, which is they love being around people. They like seeing the energy. It's crazy. You know, one time, Shaq rolled through here. I get this call, and it's like, hey, can you adjust Shaq at his house? I'm like, you kidding me? Say less.
You there?
Dude, if you want me to adjust Shaq on, it's Shaq. I'll adjust him on Mars. You know? I won't shut down my office right now because I love my people. But yeah, as soon as I'm done, I'll run right over there. I'll call my wife, say, babe, I'm coming home late. The big man needs me. I'm going to show up big for him. Again, my headspace. If he was to ever say, dude, you're never going to put this on camera. I just want care. I don't want to be on camera. I'd be like, I don't care. I just want to take care of you. That's my heart, right? Point being is Shaq had someone on Shaq's behalf called and said, all right, meet him at his house at 8 o'clock or come this way, right? I'm like, oh, awesome, right? But this is why I'm saying it, is because then like 30 minutes later, they say, you know what? Shaq wants to come to the office now. He'll just come to you. So then I say, okay, well, do you know that I'm in the middle of peak hours? So this message was being relayed to me because I was adjusting. So I said, hey, well, tell whoever's on the line that it's super busy right now. Is Shaq okay with coming in when it's busy? And he's like, he doesn't care. So Shaq comes in, for example, and this is just one time. Shaq comes in, says hi to everyone, sits down, is playing cards, playing Uno with people for the next hour and a half. Every single person I adjusted was like walking in. Like, I'm like, damn, I don't even think I need to adjust it, bro. You're like on a high right now. He's like, whoa, I just played cards with Shaq. I'm like, wasn't that awesome? Yeah. You know, and then I'll adjust him to walk out. He's just walking out talking. So I just use that story because it's a more recent one of like how sometimes when the dynamics merge, it really is a beautiful and organic thing, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're $1 million athlete, if you're a big investor, or you're Gary Vee, or you're General Pop. We're all getting adjusted for the exact same reasons. We want the same thing, and it's nice if you could just kind of drop your ego for a second and just appreciate it, especially because the vibe's cool.
Right.
So we'd be serving ginger shots, kombucha, espresso, so it's a vibe, so it's a good place if you got to hang for a minute.
Man, this office is definitely a vibe.
Playing
bro.
Drake
like,
and Jay-Z, playing all the greatest,
Yeah.
I always say, hey, how many places can you go, and get adjusted to Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, and anyone else, So very few, but only in Miami can we pull that off.
That's it.
Yeah. So let me ask you a question, okay? Because I've known you since you were 18, and I'm sure your viewers want to see this. And I don't know if you want to wrap up after this, but this is something I want to ask you. Yeah. I've known this man since he was 18 years old, like he said, when he came in a little banged up. And you're how old now?
29.
You're 29. Yeah. I look at you like a brother. I love you. I can count on you. I've seen all your consistency. Yeah. You are a straight grinder. You don't do it just for the lens. And now I'm seeing this new transformation happen in you in the last year, 2 years. And it's not like you were bad and getting good now. Yeah. You just are evolving and crushing it in other ways. Yeah. Where did that inspiration come from? Because on my end, we don't talk every day, but it's almost blindsided. It's like, yo, I didn't even know that was a thing you were really into, but now it's taken off. And you're crushing it. And I love the headspace of like, yo, I'm trying to merge, because here I am doing a lot of the talking, but your show's representing a lot of what I'm preaching, which is that balance, that lifestyle, not just being strong on one end. It doesn't matter what you got in the bank account. Right. If you ain't happy when you're driving home, it ain't worth nothing. If Steve Jobs can't buy his health back, and he can't make memories and do those types of things, then why are we doing it?
Why are we doing it? Right.
Which is all about this. It's about that lifestyle, being strong in multiple planes, in multiple ways, not just one. So, knowing you for so long, I'm curious. I'm not just asking for the camera. Where did all this come from? Where did that inspiration happen? Because you're doing it on a big scale. You went from, I'm assuming, a little step to then a really big step. Yeah. So where did that all come from?
Well, for me, after you, took care of me and I was able to play for the U, I went on ahead and I had a career in the injury again after 3 years. And then I went on ahead and I was out for like 9 months, depressed. Didn't watch football for a whole year, none of that. And then I went on ahead and bought my father's, the duplex. He said, son, you can't just be sitting on the couch. You got to do something. Okay. So I was just watching HGTV.
That'll inspire you.
It inspired me to get up off my ass.
So HGTV. And a little push from the dad.
And a little push from my dad.
And that was your inspiration?
My dad had nothing.
Talk about some Chip and Joe game stuff, huh?
Yeah. Like my dad had nothing. He said, hey, son, I got no money for you or nothing like that. You didn't make it pro, but hey, here's the house. Do something with it.
Do something with it.
And I bought it and renovated it, and just watching HGTV shows. And from there, I met
badass.
I met my architector, Kobe Karp. Like he's like one of these billionaire guys.
Okay.
And I showed him what I did.
Yeah.
And he said, you know what, you got something.
Yeah.
And he took me under his wing.
Okay.
And then from there, like ultimately watching you, like, bro, I've known you for over 10 years, bro. And see where you came from, your first office, and you moved to from Hollandale to Miramar to Pines. You outgrew the office, and bro, you've been like a big brother to me.
Yeah.
And
you're saying my grinding has influenced you? Really?
Yeah.
Man, why does it have to come out on a podcast?
You say we'll talk every day.
Awesome. Yeah, that's real talk. Yep,
we'll talk every day. So, but I've been watching you, and every time if I miss like an adjustment, like you'll call me. Yeah. And that genuineness always been there. So just from watching you and seeing how you grind, bro, it pushed me to get it, and I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart, bro.
Man, of course, man, absolutely.
Yeah, that's real
awesome.
Talk, man.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's my
dude,
grind.
That's badass, though. You watch a show and then do what you're doing now, that's badass. That's badassery. Yeah. Right there. That's impressive, bro.
I appreciate
that's impressive,
that,
man. Nice.
Yeah.
Look at that, huh? Look at that. So you never know what you watch and how it will inspire you.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's the weirdest, oddest things.
The weirdest thing.
Right? Yeah.
Weirdest thing.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. So, you know, if someone's going to inspire me, right, then they've got to check boxes. It can't just be bank account, you know. So as you check one box, and I told you, like, you know, my mom, you know, checked a lot of boxes, right? So she had this amazing balance. So my question then, you know, especially for people watching, but also my question to you is, what's the headspace of, like, first, how to maintain balance as you're driving for your passion, carving out your career, you know what I mean, trying to make a mark and stand out. What are the things you're doing to maintain balance, to keep sanity, you know, to reset, you know, what are those things?
Working out with you.
Because I'm curious.
Working out with you, and working out, period.
Work out your temple?
Yeah, it's my mental, it's my mental awareness. Like I like today I was in the gym today and I did 315 for like 6 reps, and people looking at me like, what the hell? Like no spotter, no nothing.
Yeah, just moving
but
weight.
Just moving weight.
Yeah.
And you know, just being able to like see my family, you know, because I still remember how it was like staying in a 1-bedroom apartment with like 10 people in there.
Yeah, damn, yeah.
It's like it happened yesterday. So money doesn't move me.
Yeah.
I have to have a passion for it.
Yeah, for sure.
And I grind and I don't.
So
stop.
is that a chip on your shoulder?
Yeah, definitely.
That moment of like, yo, I'm never going back there.
Right.
Yeah.
That's my chip.
I was talking to you about chips, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Right.
Is that your big chip?
That's my big chip.
That's the big chip right there.
I don't want to go back to that. And that's why I got into real estate, because I want to be able to like inspire and also build for other families.
Yeah, hell yeah.
You know, so I want our families to come home and say, hey man, we got space, so, you know, because that's the core of life.
Yeah.
Family and love.
For sure.
You know, if you don't got that,
you got nothing,
money.
Why you even working hard?
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
So to be able to see a family, like, you know, we just did a couple of houses we renovated, and you know, a family from Ukraine, you know, prayers for Ukraine, but a family from Ukraine bought my latest project.
Yeah.
You know, and they moved their family back. They moved their family in Miami.
Damn.
And to be able to see those families, you know, just so happy, and the kids was running around, you know, and they're like, he's the seller? I said, I just came to say, hey, you know, congratulations. And
it wasn't a cold, it was more warm.
It was more warm. It was a more warm change. It was not, oh, I'm getting this money, you know. No, it just felt good to be able to give back, to be able to see those families in a nice home, you know, and I still remember that, you know, how I was living from before. Yeah. You know, so for me, it's the, you know, how you drive home and you say, man, I feel so good about,
sure.
You know, adjusting
that
people.
Same feel, right.
I got
in your arena, in your
my
world.
arena, it's the same thing.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah. I think people watching too, that's important. Like regardless of what it is, I've talked to him about this before, but I think it's important for everyone to hear this, is fueling your chip or feeding your chip. And I'm not just saying it as a line, but when I look at like one of the things that really drives me and keeps me waking up in the morning and like go, is I do have chips on my shoulder. I got a chip, like you heard some of them. I was rambling on about like protecting chiropractic and, you know, my mom taking us out. I have this like indebted spirit to like pay it back, you know? We got to channel. You guys always have to. I'm not a psychologist. I'm sure there's psychological terms, but a lot of times we view it as a negative. I view it as a positive. Like, I don't mind those negative stories being told to me because it all feeds my chip. And then my chip continues to feed me. And maybe it's a little unhealthy, you know, but as long as I can check myself, you know, and guard it, I know that it's okay because it's a main driver. You look at anyone doing anything big, you know, there's usually something deep-seated there the majority of the time. Look at Elon Musk as a great example. You know, there's a lot of trauma in his childhood. And now, look at him, you know. So feed that chip. I think it's important to really get real about what your history is, what it's doing, how it makes you feel, and then finding a way to kind of like be the proactive person in that. Find a way to let it fuel you, let it drive you, tap back into it on a regular basis. I definitely do that. I think it's a muscle at first. One of the ways I did this actually is I learned this. It's crazy how this is coming full circle right now. All right, so Tony Robbins has this drill where he says if you emotionally want to engage in something, you got to visually like put yourself there, but it can't just be close your eyes. You have to take yourself to the plate to where you almost get, or the place where you get goosebumps. You know what I mean? Where you like, you tap your body, you get yourself in state and you feel it. So I used to fail tests on a regular basis. Like, I'm like, I don't know, my mom was brilliant. Like, what the hell? I thought I had it up there.
You used to fail tests?
I failed biology 4 times. All right, like, and that was in undergrad. All right.
Wow.
My problem I found out was test taking. okay? I was a bad high school student, so I had no study skills. So I had to learn to be a better test taker. So one of the things I did, because I am naturally an extrovert, when I go to take graduate school tests, everyone was waiting and congregating by the room. So I'd see like Isaiah, and I'd be like, yo, Zay, what's up? Ba-da-da-da. And I would get distracted from the material. So what I started to do when I would go up to the board, this is before online, be like, freaking a D? I know this material. I could teach this material. How did I get a D? I would sell myself on all the wrong answers. You know, that's the problem. But either way, I took Tony Robbins' drill. I'm going to get to a point. So I took Tony Robbins' drill, and before I'd even get into the room, I'd sit in my car right before I'd get out to go to the hall to take the test. And I would literally tell myself I'm going to fail. And I would walk myself through what did it feel like when I went to that wall and I saw after I put all those hours in and I'm like, damn it, I got a D and an F. And I would get pissed. And I'd get good, look, I got goose, am I lying?
Well,
I'd get goosebumps now because I could do it. I did it for years.
That's crazy.
Bro, years. So it's like easy for me to tap. I also do it in other ways. I'll sit in my car before I come in here and I'll try to anchor into something. I find that I'm more fueled by negativity and fear than I am by positivity. So I go to the negative and I go to that place of fear.
Wow.
And then it's like, I get it. And then I go. But what I would do in the test taking moments, you guys should pay attention to this because if we could all tap into this, even if you don't watch or read or any of these stuff, you could literally just close your eyes and get into that place and remind yourself of what it felt like when you got punched in the face or the door closed in your face or you got told no 100 times and go there. You're not playing Mr. Positive here. This isn't like everybody likes me. This is like, what did it feel like? I failed, damn. And then it puts me in this state, this like laser beam zone. It worked for me. I don't know if it's working for everybody, but it worked for me. And I'd go into that room, dude, I'd crush that test. Wow. And to this day, I still use that same tactic in here all the time when I need to dig deep.
Wow.
So with that being said, fueling the chip. The other thing I want to mention is how you said like you feel warm, you know, from a transaction like that. Well, you'll go, it's not just selling it, but you'll go and hang out and they'll be like, yo, well, first of all, I know everyone looks at you in stereotypes and has been like, yo,
I know.
honey, an athlete's coming to buy the house. Did we pay it? What's going on? Dude, there's no one that sees Zay and doesn't go, this guy plays a sport. Which I could also see that being a mind thing, like almost messing with you a little bit because you're like, dude, I love sports. Yeah. I am big. I am athletic. I am an athlete. Right. But I'm more than an athlete, which is this podcast, you know? But I think some people have it harder because you kind of fit the bill. Like, dude, there's not a day you don't probably walk in that I don't see someone go like this to Zay when he's walking in my office when we're busy. Or this way, you know? You're a huge dude, big smile on your face, you dress nice, you just kind of fit the stereotype, right? Yeah. Yeah. But he said something that I just want to point out for your listeners, is you said, I get that warmth feeling. So there's a new movie out right now in the theaters called Bad Guys. Have you heard of it? The kids and family movie Bad Guys?
Yeah.
I just watched it yesterday. And I'm not going to spoil the movie, but there's part, this won't really spoil it, there's this part where he gets this warm, fuzzy feeling when the stereotype of a wolf is they're killers, right? They're thieves, they're killers, they're everything negative, like a fox, right? Right. And he has this transaction where this warm moment makes him innately wiggle his tail and make him feel good. And the whole thing gets messed up. You know, what he was doing kind of gets sidetracked, right? And then he becomes addicted to this warm feeling. And he realizes, and this is what's so cool about the movie, is he realizes that his whole life he's been living by a stereotype. And no one has ever given him the benefit of the doubt. So everyone has just come from an angle as he's the wolf. So he's always acted as if. So he's never been in a position where someone's praised him, complimented him, or said thank you to him. You are so sweet. No one's ever poured into him. You see?
Wow.
So the minute someone did it once, he got this weird warmth sensation. So my point with saying that isn't a tangent. It's that you got to have a chip on your shoulder, but you got to be addicted to the warm, fuzzy feeling. And if you could find the balance between those two things, you will frickin' crush it no matter what it is. And that's some Gary Vee shit right there. Now, he's never said that, but that's that same headspace right there. This is what Gary Vee says, and this is what everybody should remember. And I never actually finished this sentence, but I want to say it now as we wrap this thing up, is what I love most about a guy like that or anyone else that I might not even have heard of just because I'm not on social a lot, is any guy that tells you to put your hands in the dirt but keep your head in the clouds is the guy you want to listen to, because it's always in the ugly work. It's always in the grind, in the work. It's always going to change too. You know what I mean? So you just got to be committed to the work, and you got to have, like you said, that one bedroom, 10 people in a bedroom, or 10 people in there, that mentality. You take that mentality into every project and everything, and you'll always crush it, you know?
100%.
This other guy used to tell me back in the day, one of my mentors, he's actually on the magazine there with me and my mom. is he said, Zev, never, and I guarantee no one ever watching this, even when it gets 1 million+ views, will ever have heard this statement I'm about to tell you guys. He said, Zev, boy, he'd always say, boy, okay, Southern man.
Yeah.
He'd say, boy, never let your left hand know what your right hand's doing. And never let your right hand know what your left hand's doing. And I know I sound like Al Pacino from Any Given Sunday right now, so he was a little more Southern. But what he was saying is essentially what I'm translating with what I was saying before is that, you know, you got to have that negative, gritty, feed that chip, that thing that drives you. But you got to be addicted to that warm, fuzzy feeling. So every day you've got to chase that interaction, you know? And a lot of people aren't doing shit and aren't happy and are in imbalance, whether it be in their bodies or their life, because they don't have identity, so they're looking to social media to get that identity that they never had because of high school interactions or mother, father, teacher, preacher models, etc. You know, so they're trying to be selfish and trying to do, and they're not doing more of the like, what can I give to get that warm fuzzy and let that fuel me, build some character and identity into me, and then that will kind of help me or guide me into what I want to do. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean you lose the chip.
That's real.
You know, it just means you got to have both. And that's what left and right hand is. You know what I mean?
That's
like
real.
in one sense, I need to be a killer every day. I'm a freaking killer every single day.
100%.
I'm a killer. I know
Yeah.
I'm a killer. But
Gotcha.
on the same sense, in that same moment, I got to be a healer. But there's moments that I got to channel both, and almost it's 1 second apart.
balance
There's
it,
someone
right.
that wants to attack me, I'm going into kill mode.
Right.
But then 2 seconds later, I've got your mom on my table,
You
which
gotta-
I've had, you know, and I got to be a healer, and I got to be in that headspace. Now, you could take that into business as well. You take that into business and family. Tony Robbins actually has this funny line back in the day. I don't know if he still says it, but it's like, you show me a balanced business, I'll show you a dead business. You show me a balanced marriage, I'll show you a dead marriage. But what he means is not like shitting on balance. I'm assuming. I read in between the lines is you just can't be status quo and stagnant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a husband and wife sitting in front of the table doing the same thing every night. A business doing the same thing all the time.
Right.
You got to keep it fresh. You got to reinvent. You know, you got to reinvigorate as well. You got to bring energy to the table.
Right.
You know, you can still enjoy the repetitive moments that make things magical, but you got to always step outside the picture frame, look in and go, yo, what can I bring? Who am I next? The guy that married me, you see, I got diarrhea of the mouth. I'm just warming up.
Hey,
The
talk
guy
that talk,
check
man.
this out, though. You guys will really like this. The guy that married me, right?
Yeah.
His gift in this world was marriage, okay? Shout out to Bishop Dwayne Sweely, all right?
Bishop
and his,
Dwayne.
Absolutely. Bishop Dwayne Sweely and his wife, Pastor Sweely, are one of their gifts. I'm sure they have many, but I got to experience their gift in marriage and communication and guidance. And, dude, it was hands down phenomenal. Funny enough, funny story is, I had a rabbi. I'm Jewish, but I had a bishop marry me, okay? Because
Wow.
my rabbi wouldn't marry me when I was not only his chiropractor, but he bar mitzvahed me. I poured into this man, and then when it came time for me to say, hey, Rabbi, come over to my house. I want you to meet my fiance. I want you to marry me. You know me since I was a kid, dude. I've bent over backwards for that guy so many times, poured into him, loved him and his children, right? So when it came that time, I'm like, this is going to be so cool. And he's a young cat, so I'm like, oh, this is going to be so cool, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So he tells me, Zev, is she going to cover her hair? No. Is she going to keep a kosher home? No. I don't want to keep a kosher home. I just told you, kosher food's unhealthy. I told him the same thing,
Right.
right? So I had to go into my spirit. I'm like, God gave her this beautiful hair, man. She got this Cuban beautiful hair. I'm like, why would I cover that? If my marriage is so insecure that I got to cover hair. Now, respect to religions that do that. I'm not knocking that. But I'm
Right.
talking about me,
Yeah,
you know?
you. Yeah.
And I was like, Rabbi, with all due respect, you know, I'm not Orthodox, but I still want you to marry me. He said he couldn't do it. So at that point, I was like, I was a little jaded with religion at that point. I'm like,
Wow.
you know what? Are you kidding me? You know what?
Rules.
What happened to humans?
Right, right,
What-
right.
You know what I mean?
All
Like,
these
come
rules.
on, bro.
Yeah.
Come on. You
Right.
make exceptions when I was doing this, but now it's this. You can't be a part of that. You're done. So either way,
Wow.
Bishop Dwayne Sweely brought me into his house. Not only to bring me into his house, you want to talk about a servant, right? Going above and beyond,
Right.
He said, Zev, I know you work for the people and I know you work late. So why don't we do my class after hours? Because it was short. I was expecting this other guy to marry me, so we had to turn this around fast.
Right.
So this man at the end of his night invites me and my fiance, my wife, into his house, bro.
Wow.
Not just at a church, but into his house. And says, I want to meet you every week, and we're going to go about this if I'm going to marry you. Into his home. I still think about, bro, I would leave his house at like 11 o'clock at night.
Wow.
Who does that stuff, bro? You don't find people like that.
Nah,
So when you find people like that, you hold the frick on to those people. I'm that type of chiropractor. He's that type of guy. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
you know, that's what this is all about, you
Right.
know? But he said something to me. He said, Zev, hey, look, I've been married, I think he said at the time, 40 years, something like that, right? We've been married a long time. He says, do you realize I've been married to 4 different women? And at first I was like, looking at Pastor
Like,
Sweeney, his wife.
what you got going on?
And I'm like, oh, y'all are freaks. No, he like did a pause on it. Like,
Yeah.
I've been married to 4 different women.
That's crazy.
So I'm like, he said, pause. I'm like, okay.
What was going on?
I'm not saying nothing. And then he said, my wife, every decade, has transformed into a different woman.
Wow.
So I have been technically married to a different woman over the last 40 years.
Wow.
And if I didn't change and grow and adapt, then our marriage would have been dead.
Wow.
So he's like, one of the most important things I could bring to you is that, you know,
Wow.
is that aspect of constantly working on yourself and your marriage and creating rules and doing all these things that you guys can live by, like a constitution for your marriage. You know what I mean? And
Wow.
but it spills into business, you know, so I won't go any further into that, but it's that whole, like, you got to reinvent. You got to keep it fresh.
You
You
have
got to
to.
feed the chip from the
Yeah.
1 bedroom and 10 people living in there. And I don't ever want to go back there, but
No.
I'll never forget it. And I'm grateful for it. And now I'm addicted to creating warm and fuzzy feelings in families that could purchase my homes. You know?
That's the feeling.
That's what's up.
Doc, I really appreciate you.
Absolutely, man. You kidding me?
Man, like-
Anytime. This is Dr. Zev. This is Isaiah. We out. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and share. Right?
Let's do it.
Yeah, sharing is caring. So you got to share.